She's Katie Montgomery. He's Justin Joseph. These best friends are serving subpoenas to bad advice weekly with Wrong Way Forward. Now, here's Katy and Justin.
Hi, welcome to Wrong Way Forward, the podcast where we roast terrible advice. And we like to think we sometimes give our own advice, which I think Justin and I think is pretty good. My name is Katy Montgomery, and I'm here with my best friend, Justin Joseph. And Justin, today we're going to talk about whether or not it's the wrong way forward to boycott an establishment, a business. And have you ever boycotted? I mean, I don't even know why I'm asking this. I think all the listeners know the answer. Have you ever boycotted a business?
I have, and then I've gone back, and I think that's what we're titling this episode. Can you ever go back? When I was young and much more vain, and not, this is going to sound insane to any of our listeners, but when I was young and much more vain, not about myself, but about my dogs. Mm-hmm. I had a dog at the time that I grew out her eyelashes, and she was a cocker. And I mean, they were literally this long. And so when I would go, so we moved back from somewhere, I think it was, we had moved here from Omaha. So I took her to the groomer and I said, you can't screw it up unless you cut her eyelashes. I'd been growing out these eyelashes forever. So I go back that afternoon and gone was one of her eyelashes, like cut off. And I, as you can imagine, was not happy.
Yes.
And I was fine. I was really upset until Liddy said, blame the dog, and said, well, she moved and I cut him. And then I lost my mind. So
well, that's
anyway,
a dumb excuse because dogs move. Like, that's why I'm asking you to cut the dog's hair and not my niece, right?
Yeah. So I lost my mind and I wrote her a bad Google review. Now, mind you, this woman is revered in the state of Colorado for cutting Cocker Spaniel's hair because you have to do it a certain way. So I wrote her a bad review and I vowed never to come back. So then we found a new dog groomer who did a great job, and for about 2 years or maybe 3 or 4 years until she broke her leg. And like, why are groomers allowed to break their legs? So she was out of the business. So I'm like, well, I'll just go back to the first one named Rita. So I brought the dog in and dropped her off to her assistant. And then I came back that afternoon and she was just standing there like this. I never thought I'd see you again after that Google review. And I was like, ooh. So I had to then, every time I took my dog to her, tip her $1 million and apologize because I had written her bad Google year 4 review 4 years ago.
Well, it's so funny because I was asking my sister last night because, before we were going to tape this morning, I said, Annie, have you ever boycotted? And she goes, maybe 48 hours. So it is interesting who can really stand with the boycott. So what we're going to do is I'm going to read something from the New York Times. This is something called Judge Hodgman. People write in and then you get to kind of make among 3 selections, what would you do? And then Judge Hodgman rules. And so it's a really quick scenario. So a woman named Shannon writes in and says, my husband refuses to patronize the best Thai restaurant in our area because they served him takeout soup in a cracked container. It made a mess in his tote bag. Now,
that's
of course,
silly.
That is silly. And there are questions like, was it your Loewe tote bag or was it a Trader Joe's 99-cent bag?
And it compares nothing to a dog's eyelashes.
There we go. He emailed them several times for a refund of $6, but got no response. I say it's time to let go. Who's right? And so what Judge Hodgman ends up says there's many reasons to feel angry and powerless these days, so I get why nursing a local micro grudge feels cathartic. A little secret blood feud gets the blood pumping, so as it's kept secret, and he's not damaging the restaurant or his soul by leaving 1-star rants on websites. If he really wanted satisfaction, he'd skip emailing and talk to them in person. But that would remind him that they are indeed people, trying their best as a hard business at a difficult time just to serve him. Where's the fun in that? Order double soup next time and eat it in his face. Eventually, his internal stew will cool off, and he will remember that life and soup are both inevitably messy. So Judge Hodgman is just kind of like, and I think he makes an excellent point here, that it's like, look, you've sent a number of emails. If you really, really cared, and if you really wouldn't want to be he doesn't say this, this is my own addition. If you don't want to be a wimp about it, you would go in person and confront this. So is first of all, I guess 2 things. Is this the wrong way forward? Do you boycott a restaurant for a $6 soup that leaks into your tote?
Well, firstly, we have to welcome Judge Hodgman to the podcast. This is his first column on our podcast, is it not?
Correct.
And I have to say, I really like his advice. Probably one of my favorite responses ever, because basically what he's saying is to the wife, he can boycott all he wants. Just go get it yourself, and you just sit and eat it in front of him and let him sweat. I think that's priceless, and I could see someone doing that to me. I encourage someone to do that to me. Like walk their cockers in front of my window. Like, look how pretty our cockers are cut because you're boycotting. I think that's brilliant advice. But what he says that really resonates with me.
It's so revenge and kind of bitchy. So of course you love it.
And I'm probably going to use it on someone else, but I don't think anybody I know does boycotts. But what I think he says that resonates especially with me is the fact that, in this world where everybody feels so powerless, someone holding onto their $6 soup to change lives is just everything. And so I love that. What do you think?
Well, the first thing that I read of this is that I understand Shannon may want to go to dinner with her husband, but my first reaction is Shannon, this is not, I hope, not a deal breaker in your relationship. Go grab a girlfriend, go grab a colleague, go grab a coworker, and go eat yourself some Thai soup. I was like, so first of all, my first thing is I thought, oh my gosh, what's up with Shannon? Go get a life. My second thing was, and I know this is ridiculous, and this is not something the restaurant could control. I think, first of all, I guess if you are carrying a very nice tote, we're talking an expensive luxury tote, I would never
most men don't, especially most men married to women don't.
But I was about to say, except Justin, who has a Prada and a Burberry.
Only because I felt one of my best friends went out and bought a Dior bag, and I'm like, well, that's lovely. I want one, and of course I was going to buy a Dior bag.
But here's my question: if you had your Prada bag and you ran after work and picked up soup in a $6 soup at a Thai restaurant, would you put that in your luxury tote?
No, right. That Prada bag, the only reason I bought it is because when I go to conferences, I feel weird putting my computer in a book bag, and I'm like, oh, I'll get a nice bag. That bag has been used one time.
Yes, but my point is, and then if you had a $6 soup, and we all know these plastic containers, this is not, lock and seal Tupperware. And it ruined a 99-cent Trader Joe bag. Would you get up in a puff?
No. I mean, I would be pissed because if I was getting the Thai food, I probably love Thai food, and I'm pissed that I don't get to eat it in the next 5 minutes. Right. That's why I'm mad.
I think what would piss me off the most here is sending an email as a customer and being completely ignored. That I think is, my guess is that he was like, you know what? I'm going to send an email. It might have been altruistic. Like, guess what? These things leak. You might want to double wrap them in saran wrap. You might want to put a rubber band around them. Like, maybe he had good intentions. It is the lack of response that probably elevated his anger. And so 100%. I am surprised the restaurant did not even respond.
Because they probably realized it was so ridiculous. But what I do love about this is I think Shannon is our people. I mean, if we knew Shannon, she'd be one of our dear friends, because I think she's sending this in as a little dig at her husband, like, could my husband be any more ridiculous? And those are my people.
And I think you're correct that what Judge Hodgman did really well is that, again, we talk about this a lot, is can we explore the deeper issue? Why are you spending so much energy on $6?
Right.
Like, why are you right fighting? Why is this the hill you're going to die on? And I think that's the bigger question. And so I think that's the right way forward, is to really kind of explore that rather than, I'm really missing the Thai food. And what I would love to do is to call up Shannon and be like, what's up your husband's ass? Like, what crawled up there and died? Because this
what did you do?
What did you do yesterday?
And Katie, that's a great tease for Block B, where I want you to explore my recent bad behavior. And I'm really struggling with, do I send an email about something that happened in the grocery store the other day? And I have not been back to the grocery store. So we'll discuss whether I should go back and how I handle it. We'll do that on the other side. We'll be right back.
Sounds great.
You've been listening to Wrong Way Forward, where bad advice goes to die and then gets resurrected just so we can roast it again.
If you're enjoying the chaos, hit like and subscribe and come back every Thursday for new episodes.
Have a new topic or some disastrously bad advice you want to dissect? Email wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com. Include your contact info.
Now back to Wrong Way Forward.
roasting the worst advice ever. Welcome back to the Katy and Justin podcast.
Hi, and you're on Wrong Way Forward. And right now what we're doing is talking about boycotting an establishment and whether or not that's correct. And when I read this, column in the New York Times, it immediately made me think, Justin, of one of our mutual friends from college. I remember she told me that her mother, a devout Catholic, decided to boycott Pepsi because, remember, Madonna came out with Like a Prayer, and she found the video offensive. And so she said, we're not drinking Pepsi in this house, which I remember dying laughing. But my response was, first of all, number one, gross. Who drinks Pepsi? Number two, it's the South. We only drink Coke. I mean, when I go into an establishment with Pepsi, I'm like, boo, gross. And you just don't see it as often in the South because Coca-Cola is based in Atlanta. Yeah. But boycotts are real. And, and before we kind of get into your, bad actions, why is it that some of us can really hold tight on boycotts and some of us can't? Because I remember, kind of post-election, I had a number of friends who gave up Amazon. They didn't agree with Jeff Bezos. To be completely honest, I don't really. But guess what? I have not given up Amazon. And in fact,
I don't really understand.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't really understand the objection to Amazon. I guess we could do its own show on that. I realize he's aligned with that universe, but that's the business world that he's running in. He's trying to run a corporation. I realize he's a massive businessman, bigger than anything we've seen. But I really don't understand the objection with him. Having said that, I could not live without Amazon.
Yeah, and I think the thing is that when we really talk about values and principles, and we've heard that, adage that's been around forever, put your money where your mouth is. And, and if people did things in mass and, and it affected the bottom line, you're talking about a business. But what is it that some people can really stick with a boycott and other people like us, we last 48 hours or we last until, we can't find another Cocker Spaniel groomer and we give in? I think that's an interesting question. So just to kind of reach out to the audience, of course, we would love to hear from you. Have you ever boycotted? Why do you boycott? What makes you stick to your guns on a boycott? And you can drop us an email at wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com.
You can also text our text line at 720-251-4450. I will say the two boycotts that I've held to, one more than the other, are when I loved Joanna Gaines back in the day. And when it came out that they were in a church that was anti-gay, that was really tough for me.
And you love a home TV show, so that must
I do love a home TV show. And when she started her channel, there were competitions on the home TV show. I was crying, staring at my blank TV because I could not turn it on. So now I did have a breakdown because I think they had a gay couple on their show last year, kind of to circle back and try and make the point that they were supportive. I don't know. She was running her own channel at that point, and I think she needed to make. I mean, who else besides gay people watch home makeover shows?
I mean, 100%. You're losing a big demographic.
Yes. So she wrote me right back in, and there I was watching Colorado Cabin Makeover on a binge watch for 6 hours in an episode. So anyway, but I stuck to that one and Josh did too for many years. The other one that's famous in the gay world. Do you know what I'm about to say?
No. Is this the beer?
No. It's Hateful Chicken.
I don't even know what that is.
Chick-fil-A.
Oh.
Because there was years where the owner of that was very anti-gay, and so I know a lot of gays that. Well, actually, that one is worse. I know a lot of gays that said to your face that they do not eat hateful chicken, and then you would catch them eating hateful chicken.
Well, and we had massive conversations about that, and I have a friend who loves a Fountain Diet Coke, and she is incredibly liberal and incredibly supportive of the LGBTQ plus community, and she said, I have to get in my car, because in DC, you used to have to drive to get to a Chick-fil-A. And she goes, and I can't give it up. But I do think
Have you ever had a sandwich?
Yes. Are you kidding me? Yes.
Oh my God,
love it.
It's so good. Yeah.
It's so good, and it's really hard because it's just like us Catholics, during Lent, you're not supposed to eat meat on Friday. And I don't even eat that much meat, but on Friday I want meat. Guess when I want Chick-fil-A? Sunday when it's closed. It's like closed. You always want what you can't have. But
exactly.
Justin, let's pivot a little bit and let's talk about, I'm a little bit nervous. What happened in the grocery store?
I was hoping you'd forget this story. As I was thinking, I'm like, why am I going to tell this story? Because I know in my back of my mind what the answer is. I haven't even told Josh yet. But
because
so
Josh is going to tisk, tisk, tisk.
Yes. So I was in the grocery store. I love our grocery store. It's 900 years old. It's this big, but it has everything you need. And I come from a neighborhood that had the very wealthy grocery store that was this big, and it would take you 3 hours to get where you needed. This one's this big, and you know where everything is. I can get in that place and out of that place in 5 minutes, and that's what I count on, and that's what I love. So anyway, I go the other day. I race through the store, as you know me to do. And let me fix my camera real quick. Sorry. I raced through the store. I'll tell you what, let's take a break. We'll come back on the other side. I'll finish the story. We'll be right back.
Great.
Thanks for streaming Wrong Way Forward, the weekly reminder that advice is usually free for a reason. We call out bad advice wherever it hides: boardrooms, break rooms, and even book clubs.
Enjoying this dumpster fire? Like, subscribe, and check back every Thursday for new episodes. Want us to roast your favorite piece of nonsense? Email us at wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com. Be sure to include your contact info. We're not psychic, just judgmental. And now, back to Wrong Way Forward.
Roasting the worst advice ever. Welcome back to the Katy and Justin.
Justin had a little bit of malfunction, but we're back with his camera, and he's in the hot seat, and we want to hear. So you're in your tiny, intimate, fast in and out grocery store that you have loved.
Yes. And so I'm racing through. I fill my cart. I get to the self-checkout line, which I am a master at. I've got the gun. I shoot the cart. I know this. Beep, 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 beep. I'm in and out. Well, I get to the line. There's one thing open, and I see the checkout lady, who's this older Black woman. She's the one that helps you if you want to buy liquor. And I was making chicken piccata that night, so I had a $5 bottle of white wine because I'm too cheap to use an expensive bottle.
I mean, good point.
So anyway, she is called over to help an elderly woman who's in the self-checkout line, help her check out. So I'm watching this, and she's literally checking out she's doing what a cashier does in the bzzz line. You know what I mean? She's checking her entire thing out. So I'm buzzing through, and I'm like, just put the alcohol at the end. That way you can get everything checked. And then when you need her to check your ID, she's right there. So I get to the end, and she's still, oh, ma'am, here's very slow helping this elderly woman. Well, now I need an ID check, and I cannot leave until I get an ID check.
Yes.
So I go over with a bottle of wine, and I'm like, and this is right behind me. And I'm like, hi, would you mind just giving me a quick ID check? You'll have to wait until I'm done with her. Well, you can imagine that just was not going to work for me. And what really upset me was there were 5 of the actual lines where you can unload your stuff and someone will check you out. There were 3 of those women just standing there and no one's using them. So this elderly lady not only decided to use the self-checkout, but she either did or didn't need help, but this woman was helping her, which to me was totally unnecessary. And I was mad. And so I had to wait probably 3 minutes to 5 minutes, I would say. She comes over and she goes, I'm sorry that I had to help an elderly lady. And I'm like, well, there were 3 places she could have gone. And at least if you're going to do that, you need to also assist everyone else. Because 3 of everybody's lights were waiting because everybody's waiting for her. So I really went back, and I was mean. I really went back and forth to whether I write an email to the manager saying, I understand elderly people need help. But number 1, she should have been just sent over to the cashier's line. Or number 2, this woman should have said, just give me 1 second. I'm going to check his ID and then I'll be right back. So I've really struggled with whether to write an email, but I haven't been able to show my face in there in 3 days. So can you ever go back? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think you officially get asshole of the year. I'm calling the trophy.
Totally wrong.
Well, here's the first thing is that this is a small, intimate community grocery store. This is not a behemoth, large one. So I think because of that, it has a different feel towards the community and how we help and what we do. I think that number 1. So number 2, I think, I at the end of the day, and I could get frustrated too. I actually hate to go to the grocery store. I hate waiting for it ding, ding, ding to wait for someone to come over. I am also very impatient. But at the end of the day, I think that I would prefer for people to have a customer service orientation towards the elderly and to help them, and particularly in a small community grocery store. And then I think, number 3 is you could have also gone through the 4 or 5 open lines. And when you get alcohol, it doesn't matter if you look like you came from Tales from the Crypt, they're going to have to card you. Or In my case, they don't even card me. They put in a fake because they look at me and go, "Oh, you are way old enough to buy this alcohol." And then
you're clearly a drinker.
Yes, exactly. You had a rough night. You need this. But
let me just say, my defense,
it's not
a small community grocery store.
No, let me finish. You also said there were a number of lines open. You could have chosen and said, "Hey, I'm going to go through this line because I know whatever scenario happens, I would have had to wait to get an ID check." And you can never guarantee that somebody is not talking to their colleague or get pulled onto another line. I mean, the concept of scan it yourself and that it's faster is a misnomer. It is not factually
it is
correct.
With me.
5 out of the 10 times. No, it's not, because if you have to rely ever on anyone else, it totally messes up the process.
Okay,
so,
got it. I thought you meant just my abilities.
Yeah, so like if you have booze, if you've got some crazy, produce that you can't find them. Number 4,
which I do have.
Coupons. We know Justin loves a coupon. I also do. Do not go to that line unless the other lines look like Costco. I mean, so
you're
first
100%
of all,
right.
I am. Of course I
am. We can agree that I had other choices. I still think it's a training moment that if you're going to help an elderly person, then the first thing is, oh, do you need help? Well, why don't you go use one of our cashiers that are meant for that?
But Justin, think about this. I mean, here's the thing. When you say elderly, there is such a spectrum, right?
This lady called her and I'm helping an elderly woman. So I will leave that on her.
But my point is that if I had an elderly woman, and there are some people that I've seen in DC, like it's a miracle they pushed the cart to the area.
Right,
I am not going to say, start packing that stuff back up and go get in another line. I mean, or if it's an elderly person who's highly able to be like, listen, this is going to be much faster. Let me walk over there with you. So my point is that I don't think that that's the take all solution. And I think also this is where my, kind of empathy really comes into overdrive. I used to deliver meals through Iona Senior Services. And so
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't last very long.
Hold the line. You drove?
So usually you had a partner and you would pack up your car. So they would drive and then you would stop and then you would go in and deliver.
This makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah, everybody knows I hate to drive. But first of all, it was heartbreaking because one of the things you would also do is kind of take a survey because they wanted to know if people were eating food. Because as you get older and more frail, you tend to lose your appetite, which I just can't imagine.
That has not happened to me yet.
It's never going to happen to me. Like the people are going to show up with the food delivery and be like, we got a double for you, Miss Montgomery. But anyway, you would open up their refrigerator to put the food in. And so it would be like, 2 cartons of milk, a carton of orange juice, and you would just see prepackaged meals all in there. This is a very long way of saying old people are lonely. Old people are forgotten. Old people do not sometimes have like interaction. And so part of me, this is where my kind of empath really kind of shines, is that I'm like, maybe that was just a moment of connection for that person too. And you needed to put your mindset into that.
Yeah, I think that's very well said and all true. The last thing I would say in my defense, it was not a small community grocery store. That makes me sound like a total asshole. It is the Kroger brand. It's just a smaller version of there. I mean, there was still 900 people there. If I could just raise that one thing in my defense so that when I'm before the gates of St. Peter, I could say it was not a small community grocery store, please.
Well, Justin, you can have that 1 point, but literally the trophy is still being etched asshole of the year. So I just want to let you know.
Okay, so like I said, probably not a story I should tell. And when Josh gets around to listening to this, which will be in probably 2 to 3 weeks, we'll be sitting on the couch. He's like, so I was listening to Can You Ever Go Back? You did that? And I'll be like, oh.
And that's where you're like, you haven't picked up why I send you to Kroger every time rather than I go myself.
And then he'll say, I asked you for shit and you gave me shinola or whatever it is. Yeah, I asked you, you wanted country chic and you got country shit.
That is very true. So on that note, It's been a great episode. We, again, thank our viewers and our listeners. Again, if you've got anything you want us to roast or any kind of weird kind of scenario, or if you've been a real asshole like Justin, you can drop us an email at wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com. And you can also find us on TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook.
And our text line is 720-251-4450. Also, let me know that I'm not alone. I'm looking at you, GJ Minardi. Tell me a story where I am not alone in my bad behavior. So anyway, we'll see you next week on Wrong Way Forward. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
All right, that's a wrap on this week's episode of Wrong Way Forward. Remember, the only thing worse than taking bad advice is giving it.
If you've liked what you've heard, like, subscribe, or follow us wherever you stream podcasts. And if you've got a topic or need some advice we'll probably regret giving, email us at wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Wrong Way Forward.